Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. Nice little 2-0 college football Sunday. As you guys saw on YouTube, I had Florida State. I also had Oregon State first half minus, I think I got it at 8.5. So nice little 2-0 day. But week one's not done yet. We got one more game Monday night. ACC, Clemson at Duke. This line opens up Duke catching 12 points at home here. Total opens up at 56. Let's go.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
So like I said, this line opened up Duke plus 12. Early action was all over Clemson and caused the line to move to 12.5. Then early this week, it moved up to 13. And yeah, the action is still leaning Clemson. But if you look at the movement this week, actually bets have been coming in on Duke. So we got to start by mentioning Duke's magical turnaround last year. Heading into last season, Duke had lost 13 straight ACC games, 13 in a row. They bring in a brand new head coach in Mike Elko. They bring in a brand new OC. They lost their quarterback and their running back, who was probably their best offensive player. The expectations for last year were at an all-time low. Their win total for the season was set at 3. So how'd they do? Well, they went 9-4, beat the out of UCF in a bowl game. They hit their win total for the season in week 3. Starting off 3-0. And you want to hear something weird? Duke offensively actually averaged less yards per game last year than in 2021. They averaged 418 yards a game in 2021, but that led to just 22.8 points a game. Last year, they averaged 415, so 3 less yards per game, but the scoring was up a full 10 points, 32.8 points a game, which was 24th best in the FBS. That just shows you how important good play calling is in the red zone. And this is a Duke offense that returns 9 starters from last season. 9. Quarterback Riley Leonard was excellent last year. It was his first full season as a starter. He threw for over 2,900 yards, 20 touchdowns with just 6 interceptions. His 73.7 QBR was 26th best in the FBS. He also added 700 yards and 13 touchdowns on 5.6 yards per carry on the ground as well. He was great last year. Now, Duke's schedule is definitely a bit tougher this season, but I think we can expect this kid to produce again and have another great season. Do you want to hear the craziest part about Duke's 2022 season, though? So I just mentioned that their offense averaged a full 10 more points a game, which is insane from 2021. That being said, their turnaround on defense is somehow even more impressive than that. The 2021 Duke defense, the defense that Mike Elko took over last year, allowed 41.8 points a game and 541 yards per game. Those numbers were 126th and 131st, dead last in the FBS. Arguably the worst defense in the entire country. Want to know what Mike Elko did with that defense? Well, last year they allowed just 22.3 points a game and just 380 yards per game. 25th and 56th in the FBS. I know Sonny Dykes deserved Coach of the Year. He definitely deserved it at TCU, but Mike Elko was right up there with him. Now, Duke's defense did lose its 2 leading tacklers, and that's worth mentioning. A safety and a linebacker. The guy Joyner, he's on the Houston Texans, and Hayward's on the Bengals. But there's enough experience returning, and Mike Elko, what he did with that defense last year, I think there's enough there for us to be pretty confident about Duke's defense this year. They're going to have their hands full, though, because we're talking about Clemson, and when it comes to the Clemson offense, a lot remains the same from last season. They're bringing back 4 out of 5 offensive linemen. Will Shipley's back at running back. He's a beast. Their leading receiver last year was Antonio Williams. He was a freshman, so obviously he's back. So Clemson's offense, loaded with talent as you would expect. Really comes down to what you think of the new OC quarterback combination. We saw a little bit of Cade Klubnik at the end of his freshman year last season. Really didn't see enough of him to make a judgment, in my opinion. He made some good throws for sure. Definitely has a lot of arm talent, but he definitely made some bad ones too. Klubnik played in the ACC championship game last year, and he went off. He completed 83% of his passes, 194.7 passer rating. Clemson won that game. They beat North Carolina 39-10, and that's definitely impressive. But it's important to take note that it was North Carolina, and their defense was dreadful last year. They were 88th against the pass and 92nd overall, according to Beta Rank. In the game after that, the Orange Bowl, they played Tennessee. who had a top 25 pass defense, and he really wasn't good at all in that game. Just 50% completions, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. So when he saw a good pass defense, he was not good. So how is he going to mesh with new offensive coordinator Garrett Riley? If you don't know who that is, he was the OC at TCU last year. He was there for just 1 year. He showed up, completely turned that offense around, and dipped. What he and Sonny Dykes did at TCU last season was impressive as hell, and you think now equipped with Clemson's offensive talent should result in some explosive plays this year. And he's being given a tall task here trying to turn around this Clemson pass offense. It's been disappointing the past 2 years now. Now, I know a lot of people are blaming DJU for that, but you know what? I just watched that whole Oregon State-San Jose State game earlier this afternoon. DJU didn't look bad at all. In fact, I thought he looked pretty good. Probably not what Clemson fans wanted to see. Last season, Clemson's offense ranked 61st in passing yards a game, 69th in average passer rating, and 42nd in effective pass rate. So they're sitting right in the middle of the FBS last year. But this is Clemson. I mean, this is a team that had Deshaun Watson for 3 years. They had Trevor Lawrence for 3 years. This is not a program that's just okay with being the 42nd best passing attack in the FBS. And in this particular matchup against Duke, there's some added pressure on Klubnik and Riley here, because Duke's defense was much better against the run last year. 17th in rushing yards per game allowed, 20th in rushing yards per carry allowed, 37th in effective rush. Duke's run defense was solid last year. It's the pass defense that struggled a bit, back at 69th in yards per attempt, 75th in passer rating and effective pass. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Clemson can't run the ball on Duke's defense. That would be an insane statement to make. I'm just saying Duke defensively last year was a lot more vulnerable to the pass than the run, so Clemson may have to lean a little bit more on the pass in this week 1 game than they would like. When it comes to betting trends, there's a lot of positive signs pointing towards Duke here. First of all, 6-0 against the spread at home last year, a perfect 6-0, 5-1 against the spread as underdogs, and 6-2 against the spread against ACC teams. But you know what? There's some positive trends pointing to Clemson as well. Clemson was 7-2 against the spread against the ACC last year, 7-4 against the spread in their last 11 games against Duke, including covering 4 straight. As far as what I'm personally betting in this game, look, I know it's really tempting taking those 13 points with Duke. I get why there's some sharps doing that. But they didn't see Clemson last year. And look, I'd maybe consider taking Duke in the first half. Maybe. But I think this game is going to look similar to what we saw in the NC State-UConn game and the Michigan State-Central Michigan game. If you remember, first halves of those games were very interesting. Then in the second half, it was very clear who the better team was. And that's what I think we'll see here. Maybe Duke keeps it interesting for a quarter or two. But eventually, we're going to see Clemson establish themselves as the much better, more talented team. I'm going to lay the points. Clemson minus 13. I'm hoping to get it at 12.5 or 12 closer to kickoff, though. If you want my top bets, parlay of the day, well, there's only 1 game, so it won't be a parlay of the day. I'll do a same game parlay. If you're interested in that stuff, head over to KyleKirms.com. Also, there's a link to join the Discord on there as well. College football week 1 officially comes to a close with this one. I'm up over 2 units on the week, so I'm pretty much guaranteed a winning week unless I decide to bet the shit out of this game, which I'm not going to. We got NFL week 1 coming up. I'm giving away a signed Keenan Allen helmet. Make sure you check that out. Wow, a lot of football coming up. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you on Twitter.